Hello, trading is closed on August 24th, 2015, and I'm Jeff Tennant. My last call said that my preference was for a gap up today. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm going to return to that prediction in just a minute. I have a standing rule that if we have a strong gap in the unfavored direction, that the call is canceled before the open. My next guess was that if that didn't happen, we would have a big drop followed by a strong rally. Well, from the low in overnight futures to this high, we had a rally of 120 handles, so that was true. I then laid out my standards for a crash. I said if we had a drop in the first hour and we added to it in the second hour, that was the scenario for a crash. As far as I'm concerned, we crashed before the market even opened, so I don't get credit for that one. That was just wrong. We have some MEJT targets from October, which all printed, 1950-32, and two other targets in the 1890s. It's interesting how even 10 months down the line, we have resistance here and support here, the close practically on the nose. Every now and then I like to show the failed MEJT targets on tap. The two targets at the higher prices don't have to print because part of the system says that we like to leave failed price targets near trend extremes. And the rest are all gone. They've all printed. Until you come to a failed target, you have to go back to April of 2014, and I think that one's going to print pretty soon. During the day at this high, MEJT said ultimately lower prices would print and gave a sell signal to boot. Well, with a market as wild as this one, it's hard to be exact about what to expect tomorrow, even though I'm going to make a prediction. You can be correct in your prediction and still get stopped out with swings as wide as these. Longer term, I think we're going much further down, and I think the drop is going to last years. Shorter term, I had a few indicators for a low which hadn't failed me previously. One thing is if the headline story in the local paper and the first story on the news talks about the market drop, the drop's usually over. That was one of the reasons I thought we were going to go up today. Well, it didn't happen. It still is a lead story in the paper today. We also have indicators based both on volume, on price, that indicates that low should hold at least over the short term. We dropped all day long. We couldn't close under any of these lows. So unless we promptly take out this low price, I'm looking for higher prices tomorrow. What I really would like to see is have us promptly take out today's highs, because the way I count things, that would mean today's failure day didn't really count. What are the chances we're going to get a strong move up, promptly taking out these highs? Well, it's quite a long shot, but it isn't impossible. Here's a 30-minute chart. We have bar 13 of a buy signal on a sequential. The last three bars in green of the combo don't have to obey all the rules, so we have a combo buy signal too. This line here is an old TDST support line from October of last year. Going along with that, we have a 9, 13, 9 sequential buy signal on the 15-minute chart, along with bar 13 of a combo buy signal on the 15-minute chart. We also have MEJT divergence as we test the low. Here's a stilt. Half a diamond's all you need. If we do have a stilt-like move up, we have an inverted diamond on stilts, so it isn't impossible that we can get a strong rally right from the open. What I would like to see, assuming these lows hold, is a stilt-like move up from the open, which could be quite strong, ideally taking out these highs, although it doesn't really have to satisfy the prediction that we're going to move up from the open. I have no question that over the days to come and the weeks to come, we're going to go much, much lower than we are now, but that doesn't mean that we're going there in a straight line. And based on a number of things, including the newspaper indicator I said, and some volume and price indicators and the DeMark indicators, I still look for a strong move up tomorrow. And if I'm wrong, it's going to be obvious early in the day, probably before we even open, and that is today's call.